All right, go ahead. We're rolling.
Okay. All right, we're rolling. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be some like music or something to bring us in?
Possibly.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, welcome to the unofficial WAMO podcast, but the official WAMO Sound of the City podcast.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. All right. We're here to talk a little bit about WAMO, to talk about this new documentary. So I'll go first. Just my relationship with WAMO and what I did for WAMO. Everything is a blur. I'll say that. I remember I worked at Channel 4 and I worked at WAMO in the morning. I would be at WAMO at 4 a.m.
Right.
and until noon. And then I would go to Channel 4 and I would be there till 11 o'clock and I would do the same thing over and over again. So news was my introduction to WAMO. I was on AURN, Sheridan Broadcasting. And yeah, and so Alan Lincoln hired me when I started working for WAMO. And I did morning news, sometimes traffic, weather, sometimes. Alan hired me. He believed in me, but others did not. But we'll get to that later, or maybe we won't. But yeah, everything's kind of a blur. I don't even remember the years.
Back up. You started as an intern.
Oh, I did.
I know. You're not talking about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't talk about that. But Kiki.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So that was right in college. So that was like 99, 2000.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's initially when you and I met.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
What, my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So my introduction, I moved here in Pittsburgh, January the 1st, 1994. Lived with my grandmother, moved around a little bit.
Where'd you live?
In San Antonio, Texas. But then in the, I want to say spring of 94, met a friend of mine, became a best friend, and then he lived close proximity to Robert Morris.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would be on Robert Morris campus a lot. Shout out to Robert Morris. A lot of people think that I went there. I didn't. But nonetheless, long story. And there I met who's now Brother Marlon. He was just Marlon at the time. And he and I became friends, even though he dissed me a little bit at the time. Yeah, and that's some stories that I'll probably say for the documentary. But essentially one night when I was in my apartment got robbed, my car got stolen. And I called Marlon. I was like, Marlon, they stole my car. I just need to get out here. And I was like, I just need to get out of here.
What kind of car was it?
That's relevant.
Okay.
But it got it did what it's supposed to do. But anyhow, my car got stolen, apartment got robbed, and I called Marlon, and he had just started actually his internship with WAMO. And so I just hung along with him. Like he was going downtown from Robert Morris. I just jumped on the bus with him, or the van rather with him. And that was kind of my introduction to WAMO. Now I listened to WAMO long before I ever, stepped into the studios. And he actually affiliated himself with Nick Nice.
Yes.
And so he started interning there, I think through the introduction of Nick Nice. He became an intern. I started hanging out with him. And then from there, they just kind of fell in love with me. I fell in love with them. I got bit by the radio bug. So for me, DJing and being on the air all kind of culminated at once because Nick was DJing and Marlon was DJing. I was hanging around. I was part of the crew. So I started DJing, and then my exposure becoming an intern there. Then I was the Panda for a long time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. And then I worked my way on to being a board op and then doing overnights and doing, let me see, I did Club 106.
The Quiet Storm, was that overnights?
No, it was just overnight. Well, I was a silent DJ. And Marlon, whenever he sees this, he'll be able to test. Before we ever wanted to be on the air because we were behind the mic. There was times where, and anybody who's in radio, they would know, the music would be playing, we would pull down the music and go, and then lift it back up because we thought we were on the air. It was just one of the things that we did to say that we broke the mic. And it was just some of the fun things. But that, okay. I know. But that was a fun part of my life. Started in 94 and then, had a couple different stints there until they closed in 2009.
Well, okay, here's my question. So you started DJing first. Did you always want to be on the radio? Because, I went to school to be a journalist, Howard University, I guess I can say. But, did you ever, when you were in college, did you ever take communication classes or...
I actually started working at WAMO before I started college.
Okay.
So by the time I started going to Pitt, I was already on the air. I was something like a celebrity around campus. Now we as a crew, shout out to No Sleep, Nick Nice, DJ Boogie, Marlon, Brother Jay, Crazy Al, Dave. There's a lot of us that hung around together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but um, you know what? No, really, honestly, if I'm going to tell the story the way this story needs to be told, I don't have a brother. I have 4 sisters,
Mhm.
and I'm in the middle. So when I met Marlon, he became like a big brother to me,
Yeah.
and because he was doing it, I was doing it.
Mhm.
And I mean, there was a time where we were inseparable for days and weeks and even months at a time. And so because that's who I, emulated, wanted to be like in some ways, I just hung out with him, and so he was doing it. Well, guess what? I'm doing it.
Mhm.
And then, a lot of it just because I wanted to help him out. Like, there's times where he was DJing and he would have to go, and I would just, hey, I'm a DJ while you go, or I start out for you. So that's kind of how I fell into it. And then I got bit by the bug and then obviously became my own guy.
How'd you learn how to DJ? You already knew how
Marlon,
before? Okay.
no. Marlon had his setup in Robert Morris
Mhm.
in the suites, I think.
Like
But
turntable
yes, he
stuff?
had yeah.
Mhm.
And I would just for hours and hours and hours and hours. That's why I have an affection for 90s Girl because he had those songs. I think he might have just bought those 2 records, and so I would just use those 2 turntables, those records to go back and forth just to learn how to blend. He would go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep, wake up, and I'm still just trying to learn how to blend on these 2 records, on these 2 songs. So, no, I didn't learn. They taught me a lot, and then ultimately Nick Nice and I, we shared the same apartment building, and, yeah,
Mm.
he showed me a lot of stuff in that space too. So I really credit who I am to Nick and Marlon.
So that's a lot.
Yes.
Do you think now, if you were starting, if that story was TJ now, the 17, 18-year-old TJ in 2025 with TikTok and with Instagram and stuff like that, how would this story go? You think it would be, it's because stuff like that doesn't happen now.
No, no,
You know what I mean? Like you have to fight to get on air. Like people just don't put you in places like that.
no. It definitely wouldn't. I would say this. We were fortunate. And I was telling Marlon, we were fortunate enough to all gravitate and find each other.
Mhm.
Nick to Marlon to Boogie, to Dave to
And these are all for
yeah,
people who don't know.
part of the No Sleep crew.
Right.
We were fortunate because a lot of us, we just loved music. We had similar personalities as far as being outgoing and, extrovert to a certain degree. And we loved what we did. So we were crew. We were family actually. When we had kids, we were there in the hospital. We ate together. Our parents, we all know each other and everything. So no, I don't think no, if that were to go down this time, in this time day and age, yeah, I don't think it would go down like that.
Yeah,
Not at all.
it's way different. But you have the social media now, so you wouldn't have to, go necessarily, be in Marlon's apartment, mixing at night or whatever like that. If you did it, I mean, you could be on live. You would say, okay, I'm gonna say it like this. I feel like now it's easier to be a celebrity, or do you think people chase that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We didn't chase it. We just loved what we did, and those doors opened for us. Um, I never set out to be TJ, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? It just kind of became that. Um, but we just loved what we did. It was just really the love of music, the love of DJing, the love of rocking a party.
Mhm.
That's what all fueled it for us. So possibly, maybe, I don't know. But I tell you one thing for sure and two for certain. I wouldn't do it any other way.
Mhm. Yeah.
If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't want to do it just the way we did it.
You seem pretty confident when you were going through that, but my Wema story was not like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a great time. It was in the 90s, so that was like 90s 2000.
Right.
I think that was like one of the best times at Whammo. Like I mean, I met Beyonce, I got a story about Darnell Jones. It's very bizarre, but met my man Darnell Jones. So it was just really like great. The energy was good, like it was perfect. But when I start working, even though I went to school for journalism, I could write, I love the news, I don't feel like I was nurtured there.
No.
Like I said, yes, Alan Lincoln believed in me and he gave me a job. But then when somebody told me he shouldn't have never hired me.
That's true.
It might
That's
be
good.
true. I don't know.
No, no, I'm saying it's sad. I'm not saying it's true that he should have hired you.
Yeah, but I just feel like I don't know, is it because that you were, I mean, different things, like, you were a DJ and I was, in the news, 2 different things. I feel like I was not made to feel like I was like I could go anywhere in this business. But that part of it was on me because being, self-conscious, I didn't have the best self-esteem, things like that. But it just looked like all the DJs, everything was easier for y'all, the male DJs. Cause even Kiki, who was in promotions at the time when I started, stuff she didn't, I mean, it wasn't just sunshine and rainbows for her. You know what I mean? Like all the things you're saying, it's like this happened, and like Kiki had to work to get to be on air. You know what I mean?
Okay.
When it seems like it's just like the guys, they'll hit you
No,
up.
no, I'm not gonna say that. I mean, I will say favor probably resonated with us.
Biblical favor?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
because it'll look a lot different in a lot of different ways.
Okay.
Uh, because there's a lot of people who wanted to be on WAMO,
Mhm.
who said that they worked for WAMO, who affiliated themselves with WAMO, but never ever was a part of the WAMO family.
Mhm.
Maybe WAMO adjacent,
Yeah.
however, but never WAMO. And so our entire crew, from Nick, Marlon, Boogie, myself, Ray Love,
Mhm.
a lot of us, because that we all came together and we were just fortunate enough to have that favoring, and those connections. So I'm not gonna say it was easy because it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work in trying to navigate life in my early 20s, mid 20s at the time. Finding out who I am as it relates to the culture, how it relates to the city, finding my way, finding a wife, having a child. There's a lot of things that come through that doesn't necessarily make itself to be easy. But when you're made to handle the weight, you carry it.
Yeah, I guess
That's a
so.
bar.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, if I know what I know now, things will be very different.
Yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
obviously, like I know I'm capable, but I just felt like, and say that's not on me, but I was like literally, what, 18, 19, 19, 20 years old, coming out of college and just, I don't know, it was a different Whammo experience, but it was still great. I was thinking the other day about who I would love to see from back in that time. Ray Smooth, cause you said Ray Love. I got a story about Ray Love too. He
Everybody has a real love story.
Let me tell you mine real quick. This is when I worked in promotions, and,
Remember
I
this.
was driving the Whammo van, and I don't know where we were coming back from, I don't know, but anyway, Ray didn't like the way I was driving.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
He said, "This chick can't drive." He got out of the car in the middle of the highway and went to the other.
I remember.
Oh, yeah, so my self-esteem was great at Whammo. Yeah, I was, so little things like that too, but it was hilarious. I can laugh about it now, but I was really, like, crying to myself. But yes, Ray Love, I would love to see, I mean, Ray Smooth, not, I mean,
Ray Smooth out. He'll probably see this.
really? Okay.
Yeah,
I just,
absolutely.
okay. All
Shout
right, I
out to
gotta
Ray
reach out
Smooth.
to him. Yeah, shout out to Ray Smooth.
Um,
He was a board op.
yes.
Mhm.
Um, I remember one time wanting to fight Kanye about you.
Oh. Oh.
When he talked bad to you, I'd already gone to the station. Yeah.
Mhm, he did.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's so many stories that I could tell. And a part of this documentary, to get back to that,
Yes, okay.
is last year when we had the 50th year anniversary of hip hop,
Yes. Uh-huh.
WAMO was nowhere represented.
What do you mean? Hold on. You mean like the ceremony when everybody got their
Well,
name on
no,
that?
no, it's just that Pittsburgh is a
Oh, I understand what you
over.
mean. You mean in general, like the overall hip
Well,
hop.
yeah, there was just nothing said about WAMO in relation to the city.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think that WAMO needs to be mentioned in the national scheme of things, but
Right.
I do feel like WAMO has a part in our culture, especially in Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
And so at that time, I was like, you know what? I think it would be a good time to, put together a documentary. And it's taken us some time to get to this point, certainly. But, it was just that I felt like hip hop, WAMO synonymous. Why not?
Yeah.
And so, I took it upon myself. I reached out to my mentor, Alan Lincoln.
Mhm.
Shout out to him. Reached out to a few others just to kind of call some names in. Then here we are, and I'm excited to tell the story. I literally can say that I've given blood, sweat, and tears for WAMO.
Mhm.
I can say that I found my voice at WAMO. I found a wife and a child, through WAMO. So that being said, I owe WAMO a great deal, right? And so I think it behooves me to tell the story, tell it right,
Mm.
tell it authentically, and then as well as just, share the true history of what WAMO did, and obviously is stepping into the future, what they'll continue to do. So I'm really excited about this and happy that I can be the one to do it.
And people are excited. I remember during Juneteenth this year when we kind of like went on Man on the Street and did some interviews with people. Everybody had a Waymo story.
Right.
Everybody was, real excited. We don't got all day,
We
but
don't.
I'm going to ask another one question. Because you said you're telling the whole story of Whammo, the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Okay.
and we know there's some ugly
Absolutely.
at Whammo.
Absolutely.
How are you going to navigate that telling this story? Because you don't want to. I don't want to say you don't want to piss people off, but at the same time, you want to tell the story and tell it authentically. And you don't want people to say, "Oh, well, he's not talking about that," because
I think the thing that will always ring true. My dad told me to thine own self be true, and then some other stuff behind it. Um, I know my heart relative to this. History is history,
hmm
good, bad, and ugly. I mean, our country is settled in, a very dark at times history as
Yeah.
well as a very rich history. And I liken the story of Whammo to that. Obviously, there's much more upswing to me, and to what I want to tell than anything that would be negative. But, you don't understand the power of a beautiful day unless you have a couple rainy days, right?
True that.
And so for me, this is not for me to jump on, anybody's bandwagon to kind of, they did this and he did this and she did that. That's not the story. The story is to tell the history, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the legacy, and I'm going to tell it authentically. I'm telling it with love and respect. So, yes, we're going to mention some of the things that may not necessarily rub the city the right way or even side people the right way. But ultimately, my desire is for the legacy, the truth, to be shown, to be, to because I'm a part of that history. You're a part of that history, and everybody that we've named, and so many more, they're part of that history, and I want that history to be preserved and documented.
I I say, yeah, I like it. What's the name of the documentary? Well, I already said at the beginning.
Well, go ahead.
Say it again. Oh, Whammo, the sound of the still city. Yes.
I do want to. There's so many stories that I know aren't going to make it onto the film, but there's two that I really want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Boogie can testify to this, and if I can get him here, we'll talk about it. But and I'm just gonna call it what it is, and I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna get in trouble for this if he sees this. But I can promise you
Uh-huh.
this is how it happened. Boogie and I, we were the bad boys, TJ and DJ Boogie. We came on from 7 to 10. We were, like I said, we're the bad boys. And when we first started the show, he and I we had our thing, bounce with me, come on and bounce. I mean, we had a whole chant that we did, and that's just how we started the show. Sometimes we just take a bounce break. All right, Boogie, you know what? I need to get this energy. Let's bounce. Everybody bounce, bounce. And Boogie would, and that's what we did. Well, one day, Jay-Z came into town, him, Ocknell, I think Devin the Dude, they all came and they were performing at one of the nightclubs at the time. And I remember Jay-Z sitting right there just looking at me.
What year is this?
I want to say probably 97, 98 maybe.
Okay, so Jay-Z was big. Okay.
Okay, yeah, he was rising.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's just sitting there watching us. Literally less than a month later, Can I Get a came out. And he starts off, can you be
He's lying. No, come on
I
now.
promise you. And so Boogie played it, and I remember it released because it released with I think it might have been the Rush Hour 2, maybe? Rush Hour 1 or 2. I can't remember, but it's I think the lead single to one of those Rush
With
Hours.
that's with not Foxy Brown. Who was that with? The song. What was
Yeah, yeah. No,
was
that's
it? I can't.
Emil and Ja Rule,
Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay,
right? I
yeah.
think that might be right. Okay. But nonetheless, I remember Boogie playing it in one of his mixes. I was like, that N-word done stole our stuff and put it in a song. And Boogie's like, yeah. That's one of just so many stories.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know. I mean, Jay-Z was going all around the country, but I know he sat and watched us, and the very next single became that. So did he steal it from us? I don't know. I like to think so because I like to think that I'm
Right.
part of that indirect part of history. I remember being at the Playboy Mansion,
Oh.
and I remember Allen Iverson and I having a few crosswords where Boogie and I really had to decide on what we were going to do with Allen Iverson. Now, I respect Allen Iverson now. Like I said, we were kids at that time. And we definitely have mutual friends and, connections. But there's so many stories, and that's the point that I'm trying to say. There's so many stories that I have that I know that all of us who were on the air or who were in
Right.
sales or, who might have been in management, we have stories that, we can tell. And I really I want to roll my sleeves up and really get busy. Matter of fact, if this thing works the way that it needs to, this might be a 2-part or maybe a 3-part series, the
Mhm.
Whammo documentary.
Yeah, I
Just
definitely
because
can
there's
see that.
so much, and I don't think, we can do it the way that it needs to be done in
Ones.
90 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. That's I
Yeah,
can dig that, yeah. Well, this was fun.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm not gonna promise we gonna do it again, but we might and might have a guest on, somebody. I don't know who. I would love to talk to Sly Jock.
Well, we will.
He's crazy. I mean, in the documentary, but, like, in this kinda atmosphere, it would be
Okay,
hilarious.
we might be able to make
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me see. Gotta give a shout out to my baby Ryan.
Yeah.
She is one of 2 complete Whammo babies.
Okay, I don't
Complete
know
Wham
where this is going.
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
complete Whammo babies, which means her father
Mhm.
and her mother both worked at Whammo,
Who's her
at
mom?
well, we'll let them find out that, but yeah, so shout out to her. My godson is a product of a Whammo baby,
Yes.
absolutely, so shout out to Jay. Um, that's all I can think of right now. If there's any more, then feel free to, inbox me and tell me, but, those 2 that I know and, and I'm proud to be that part of history as well, so,
Yep, definitely.
um,
Okay.
alright, so let me wrap it up.
Alright. So
The Whammo documentary is coming soon. We're working on it in real time now. A lot of interviews. So many stories to tell. My problem is I have too many people and really not enough time. So trying to figure that out and just the whole team together. So thank you for being a part of the team. Shout out to everyone else that's a part of the team. I can't wait. February the 28th, August Wilson Centers. That's the day that we plan on at least screening it.
okay.
I don't think that's going to be the release because there are going to be some things, a little
Sure,
work
sure.
that
Like a
I'm
soft
going to do
launch
behind it. Yes,
situation.
but and we want to do it the way that we used to do it in the 90s. Every February, um, under the direction of Alan Lincoln, we would do an African American award ceremony, kind of a gala. We would dress up and we would give awards and we would have national acts come through and
Mhm.
everything. And I kind of want to, you know, touch that
Yeah,
space
that was a good
again.
time.
So yeah, so we're gonna do that. That'll be a nod to some of the past and present DJs that were part of this. I'm really focusing on the beginning, 1948 to
Okay.
2009. Those are the spaces I'm talking about. And shout out to current Wemo. Nothing against them at all.
I
I
mean, lip some
them.
for the documentary. Okay, because we do have to wrap up, but where can people find more information? You can say that.
We all social media.
Uh-huh.
Whammo, the sound of the city. I think.
Yes. The Sound of the Still City.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Or they can go to it's TJ,
Yeah.
TJ.com.
No, TJ Vision.
TJ Vision. No, the website.
Yeah, TJVision.com.
Okay.
And
I'm the one that made it.
we'll figure it out. All right.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
That's off. So, what else?
Okay, that's it. All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Thanks, Marlon. All right.